Yes. No. Maybe. You smell that? It smells like a bit goblin. FYI, this is one of those talking head discussion style videos where I'll be doing a whole lot of talking and there really won't be a whole lot of visually impressive stuff. So feel free to minimize this video and go about your day while you listen. Thanks. Whether you should build your own computer or just buy it from some sort of system integrator, such as Dell, HP, or Maingear, is an age-old question that comes up whenever someone wants to purchase a computer. Whether you're an experienced computer builder or not, it's never as simple as just build your own computer because it's cheaper, or just buy from Dell or HP because it's quicker. Nothing in this line of work is ever that simple. There are many factors to consider when you want to tackle this question, from the aforementioned obvious ones like time and money, to less obvious and less straightforward to answer ones, such as the flexibility of the build that you want and who the build is for, which is, believe it or not, one of the most important factors when building a computer. To tackle this question for this video, instead of going on some long, hours-long freeform rant discussing all the little details for the pros and cons of each side, I'm going to boil it down to the three most important factors, in my opinion, when deciding between whether to build your own or go with an OEM. Also, I can keep this video short and sweet, which is coincidentally how I like my cake. The first reason for why you'd want to build your own computer is because it's usually cheaper to do so than to just buy it from an OEM. This is mainly because OEMs will charge you a little bit extra to cover their support costs for after you buy your computer, replacing parts and whatnot, and to cover labor costs for designing the build and actually building the computer. In this way, you can look at building your computer as paying yourself that extra 60 to $100 or so for handling, troubleshooting, and support, and for actually building it. On a similar note, the first reason to go with a pre-built is support. When something goes wrong with your computer, if you pre-build it, you'll have to spend time troubleshooting what the actual problem is. Is it a problem with your memory? Is a stick going bad? Is it a problem with your processor? Maybe there's like a bent pin or something that's causing your RAM to not show up. Who knows? You'll have to figure that out on your own. Meanwhile, if you buy from like Dell or HP, they'll sit with you on the phone trying to diagnose the problem, and if all else fails, you should be able to ship your computer back, let them diagnose the problem physically, and then hopefully they'll either be able to ship you your computer back or ship you a brand new one that actually works. And yes, when you're buying the separate parts, you will have warranties and support for each of the individual parts, but there is something to be said about going to one source instead of, say, 5 to 10 sources for every single component. And another consideration subpoint for this is if you're building a computer for a family member or friend that is less tech savvy than you are, then you'll probably be the primary point of contact for support and troubleshooting. Whereas if you buy it from a system integrator, it's a lot easier just to hand off the purchase information so they can just contact HP support or something. Being your family and friends' IT guy is a nice thing to do, but it can get very annoying very quickly. Now, for the second reason that you would want to build your computer, you know what you're going to get. You don't have to worry You don't have to worry about getting some cheap motherboard that may or may not support the features that you want. Like say you want to add an NVMe drive at some point, or getting a cheap power supply that will blow up within 15 minutes of use. Don't worry, that shouldn't happen. But if it does happen, then your warranty support should cover that. And also, you don't have to worry about potentially mismatched hardware. I don't think I've seen this too much, but I wouldn't put it past some system integrators to match a 2080 Ti with a Core i3 processor, and then build it as a gaming PC because, sure, the graphics card's great, but the processor is going to bottleneck the crap out of that card. The second reason that you would want to go with a pre-built is there's no learning curve. Not everyone can be experts at everything, and if you just don't understand how computers are built, or you just don't have the time to and can't be arsed to actually build it, then you don't have to. You can spend a little bit extra and get some support and other niceties that come with a pre-built, and you're good to go. No learning involved. For the third and final reason that you would want to build a computer, simply, it's just fun. There's a reason there are so many people online discussing There are various builds all over the place, from forums, blog posts, social media, and YouTube. Hello there. And the DIY PC community is just so big because so many people enjoy it. It's really easy and entertaining to see builds compared against each other, various parts that can be put together in different ways to do different things, and a lot of us even enjoy learning new things along the way. For example, maybe your first build was a very standard one, with maybe like an air cooler, a processor, one storage drive, etc. And for your next build, maybe you want to do some water cooling for some more extreme overclocking. Or you want to build a system specifically for a use case like a NAS or virtual machine server or something. There are lots of use cases for computers, and a lot of us find it really fun to build computers for various use cases. And finally, for the third and final reason for getting a pre-built, it's just easier. By easier, I mean you don't have to worry about designing and building it. That's all kind of taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about compatibility of the hardware, which if you're looking on AMD's processor side, you may run into issues with newer processors not running on old boards without getting a BIOS update. Or also looking on AMD's side, although it's not too much of an issue these days, early in the days of the Ryzen chips, there were just compatibility issues with various RAM. And the systems might still run well with the mismatched RAM, but they might not run as well as they could run with better RAM pairing. And I will also say sometimes when building computers, I do get a bit of decision fatigue when trying to just get the best bang for the buck. Whether it's like getting this processor with like a slightly higher clock speed, or getting this one with a little more cores but lower clocks, sometimes it can be hard to decide, and just going with a pre-built can kind of take away that decision for you. And if you want to consider the time and investment into building computers, you don't have to with OEMs. You may spend an hour here and there on setting up the computer with your OEM, trying to figure out the best way to set it up or whatever, but for the most part, building it's taken care of for you. And I know for my work, when we're setting up new labs and workstations or whatever, we just go to Dell or HP and like, hey, can you build these 40 systems for us? Because our time's better off spent doing like security stuff and whatnot. Now, I will say that this does grant you a little less flexibility if you need a certain feature, like the aforementioned Thunderbolt or 10 gigabit Ethernet. So you may have to do a little bit of shopping around for those features from certain system integrators. But if you don't have any specific features in mind and just really want a computer, then you have plenty of options for that. I know you all came to this video looking for a definitive answer saying that you should always build computers all the time. But no, nothing in this line of work is ever that simple, like I said earlier. And while that can be annoying at times, that's kind of the beauty of tech. There are always multiple ways to tackle the same issues, with each way having its own pros and cons, and you just need to kind of figure out what works best for you. And you also get many different perspectives and ideas for how to tackle problems from other people who may build computers in a different way or have different solutions than you do. To me, this is kind of fun, kind of cool, because it kind of shows how we all think and gives us our own individual approaches to tech. That's actually going to wrap it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Go like the video, subscribe to the channel, watch one of the videos down below, or just do whatever it is you need to do to make yourself feel happy. Either way, I will catch you in the next one.